In today's brief video, I want to take some time and discuss one crucial mindset that I had when I first started quitting smoking weed that I believe played a huge role in my success when it came to quitting and my sobriety recovery process, whatever you want to call it. This trait, I feel, is also shared among many clients that we've worked with who have also been successful in their quitting journey. If you're new to the channel, my name's Dr. Frank. I'm the founder of AddictionMindset recovery coaching programs, which are dedicated to helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content, substances that I once struggled with. I want to start off by saying a quote: expecting success prior to commitment is going to set you up for failure. So expected success prior to committing to the process is going to set you up for failure. Now, I want to talk about this in regard to quitting weed, but I want to begin with a real life example. Whether this relates to you or someone you know, are you familiar with building a business or someone who's built a business? Maybe you can think of a restaurant that you go to in your town, and maybe that restaurant started off as like a tiny Greek diner, hole in the wall, but now it's this huge operation of a place. And if you think about that restaurant, you're like, God, I remember coming here when this place was just a hole in the wall, and now, they got this huge building, tons of staff, tons of good food, and they've really developed over the course of several years. When you're building a business, and I'll talk about the YouTube channel here that we're in the process of building, it takes a lot of commitment. So I've published over 500 YouTube videos. I've published over 5,000 TikTok videos. I've spoken at schools. I've been on news segments. I've done a lot of things when it comes to addiction recovery coaching, helping people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. And here we are 5 years later, and I'm just scratching the surface of getting noticed, of really getting the mission out there. 5 years later, I had to stay committed to this process every single day. And I'll tell you guys, it's been a huge commitment. One YouTube video on average takes me about 3 hours to make. I try and put out at least 4 videos a week on top of all the TikToks, all the coaching. All right. If I would have started that process off expecting to be successful at it right off the bat, I would have become so demotivated and so disappointed. I would have quit very, very early on, and we never would have got to today's video. This never would have existed. But I made up my mind to stay committed to the process of building the business and hopefully seeing it through to be a true success at one point in time. And I would already consider what we've accomplished as success. Quitting a substance is no different. I remember when I used to quit smoking weed, I would think to myself, I'd be a few weeks in, a few months in, and I would think, oh my God, everything should be successful now. I should have more money. I should have the perfect relationship. My mental health should be 100%. And then I would relapse, or I would question, the process of quitting, and I would say, is it really worth it? I lacked commitment. In my sobriety and recovery process. Yet I was expecting almost instantaneous success. Now, quitting a drug isn't as hard, in my opinion, as building a business. I think that's one of the hardest things to do, or really building up in your career or whatever it may be. I really believe that's challenging. It takes a lot of commitment, a lot of hard work, and a lot of dedication. And sobriety and recovery and quitting a drug is no different. It takes work, it takes commitment, and it takes dedication, and it takes time. Just like building a business, they usually say most businesses fail within the first 5 years. If you can get through year number 5, year 7 or so, you start to make some money. You start to maybe have a living. And by year 10, if you can hang in there long enough and you have something that's good, it really starts to take off. And I'm not saying that sobriety is going to take 10 years for you to feel good. You might feel good after 2-3 weeks of being sober. You might feel good after 3 months. You might have 3 years of work ahead of you before you really start to feel the true benefits. But you have to stay committed to it. The more you waver, the more you flip-flop in the process, the more relapses that happen, the less committed you are. And when you're not committed, you can't expect to eventually achieve any level of success in your sobriety and recovery process. Now, look, I'm not saying if you've relapsed, it's the end of the world. I'm just saying change your mindset. Change it to a point where you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to commit to this process until I see it through and until it's defined as a success. And unlike building a business, which really has some crazy highs and lows, I would argue that if you're approaching your sobriety and recovery process correctly, once you get through those initial withdrawals, once you get through some of those initial problems, those initial lows, which remember, you were already experiencing lows while you were smoking, so no big deal. It really is just an upward trajectory from there. Whereas a business is like up, down, sideways, in a circle. And then, maybe after a bunch of years, you're finally in the right direction. The success that you achieve in sobriety is usually just kind of an upward trend. Even going through withdrawals to an extent is a form of success. You're detoxing, you're getting that substance out of your body. If you successfully got through that, you committed to getting through withdrawals, well, that's great. You've started your journey of success on your recovery process or on your process of quitting smoking weed, on your quit, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't even have to be a sobriety and recovery conversation, to be honest. But just don't expect instant results and make sure that you remain committed. It doesn't matter if your friends are smoking. It doesn't matter if you're going on a vacation and you just want to smoke on vacation. It doesn't matter if you've had a really bad day and you want to smoke weed, or you've had a really good day and you want to smoke weed. Your sobriety process will never be a success if you're not fully committed to it. And being committed to it is more, in my opinion, than just not smoking. It's maybe starting to figure out what other areas in your life have maybe been neglected because of this addiction, and what things do you need to do to improve those areas of your life? Is it finances, relationships? Do you need to go to see a therapist and work on some anxiety, PTSD, depression? Right? Do you have some undiagnosed medical condition that you've been neglecting over the years that you need help figuring out? Success when it comes to quitting smoking weed, in my opinion, is about much more than just quitting weed. Like, that is the start of the journey that lies ahead. And I think I can say with confidence, if you stay committed to that journey and you keep going and you keep pushing, for most people, it's just going to keep getting better and better and better and better. You're still going to have ups and downs, but I'll tell you, a big up is staying committed to something. The wavering and going back and forth, it doesn't feel good. It's not a good feeling at the end of the day. So hopefully at the end of this video, you've decided that you want to remain committed to the process of quitting smoking weed, and you hopefully are no longer expecting success right off the bat, because we can't put success in our recovery process before we put in the commitment, the dedication, and the work that it takes to actually grasp that point of success. So I hope this video helps you guys out. I hope it sets some realistic expectations when it comes to quitting smoking weed. Follow me into the next video where I talk a little bit about tolerance breaks, in case you're not fully quitting, which if you're watching this, you probably should be. All right, bye now.